Before this video starts, I just want to give a massive shout out to all my channel members. If you want to receive a shout out, then become a channel member today and you'll be shown on screen like all these other channel members here. Anyways, enjoy the video. 15,000 subscribers. I never thought I would make it to this point, but I am forever grateful that I've been able to get this far. Maybe we could shoot for 20,000 subs next? If you're wondering why I'm randomly bringing up subscriber counts, well, this project is the 15,000 subscriber special, in which I asked all of you to participate in a survey to determine who the most popular legend rares are in the Battle Cats. The voting process went something like this. The first round featured all of the legend rares in one question, and this time I decided to add the collab legend rares as a separate, optional question, as it would be much easier to include them than the Uber collabs, and it would be cool to give them an honorable mention further down the video. The second round took the top 6 and bottom 6, and I asked from there who was your favorite, and the last round had the top 3 and bottom 3 each put into their own questions to get the final results in this popularity contest. All the points in this video on why people like each legend rare was provided by the people doing the survey, so I can explain why people like said legend rare. So, before we get into the list, I just want to say that if you want to help me reach 20,000 subscribers, then be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed watching this, then give it a like and leave a comment down below on who your favorite legend rare is. Anyways, let's talk about all the legend rares, from least to most popular. Starting at the bottom of the list is Musashi Miyamoto, with only getting 16 votes in the first round, 52 in the second round, and 149 in the last round. Musashi is the legend rare of the War God set and is the least popular legend rare. Musashi, compared to other legend rares, has nothing that truly makes him stand out from the others, especially in the last round. What people do like about Musashi is that they deal tons of damage to black enemies, as well as tank tons of damage from them. At level 50, he has 658,000 health against black enemies, and he can deal up to nearly 200,000 damage. Something else people really enjoy is his oversized swords, as it gives him an aura of a truly skilled warrior. The DPS of this unit is also extremely high, having 88,000 DPS against black enemies. His decently high base DPS of nearly 15,000 also makes him a good generalist. Though a lot of Musashi fans do acknowledge that his single target can hold him back a bit, they really enjoy using him in stages with the lack of peons. A lot of people also brought up the fact that Musashi can basically solo Okame due to his extreme tankiness and DPS. Like with all of the war gods, they're all based on actual historical figures, and Musashi is no exception. Musashi is considered one of the best, if not the best swordsman in all of Japanese history. It is stated that he went undefeated in at least 61 sword duels in a row, making him the record holder for having the longest undefeated record of sword duels, and the next place was only half of that, belonging to Ito Itosai, who was stated to have gone 33 wins in a row. And the last point was that some people like Musashi for, other reasons. For the 11th spot, we have High Lord Babel, who got 15 votes in the first round, 61 in the second round, and 157 in the third round. High Lord Babel is the legend rare of the Dragon Emperors. The first thing that people really enjoy about him is that he's currently the only legend rare to have a true form as of the writing of this video. Babel, specifically in his true form, has a base health of 486,000 at level 50, and with the insane resistibility against red and floating enemies, he has 3.4 million health. However, this number can go even higher thanks to Colossus Slayer. At level 50, against red and floating Colossus enemies, he can have upwards to nearly 5 million health. Against other Colossus enemies, he has about 700,000 health. He has a base damage of 135,000 and deals 216,000 damage against Colossus enemies, with 11.2k DPS and 18k DPS against Colossus. Due to his absurd health and gaining toxic immunity in his true form, he makes levels featuring Goblin Zolo a cakewalk. People love that the design concept of a dragon atop a castle, a classic fairy tale trope, but also the fact that it's based on the Tower of Babel, a tower described as a structure built in the Book of Genesis to climb up to the top of the sky. This design basis makes Babel's design have tons of smaller features and is the reason why Babel is so huge. The legend crystal that holds the structure is also a beautiful detail that people also really enjoy. Also, in the true form, you can see that the crystal's energy is getting so powerful and unstable that the castle is starting to crumble. Their attack animation is also very intense, as if a nuclear warhead was dropped onto the battlefield. People also like the fact that his name rhymes with bagel, especially considering his shape. Also, shout out to that one Welsh guy who really likes this unit, as they appear to be a wonderful representation of the country. I know Wales is famous for the dragon on their flag, and being on the island of Great Britain, there's probably tons of castles there too. Shout out to all my Welsh viewers. Legaluga rushes here at the 10th spot, scoring 22 points in the first round, 64 in the second, and 158 in the third. Legaluga is the legend rare of the Necolugas. Legaluga is a unit who many say is either underrated or overhated. As a Luga, people really enjoy the unique role they have compared to the others of the set. Compared to most Lugas, who are rather slow and either deal a status effect or do one big swing before waiting to attack again, Legaluga is a mid-range rusher. They have 300 range with a speed of 20, deal 67,500 damage, and have 81,000 health at level 50. They're also immune to knockback, freeze, wave, slow, warp, and weaken with 5 knockbacks and a cooldown of 124.53 seconds. Like with all legend rares, people love the design that Legaluga has, mainly that this unit has design aspects that take from Killer Queen from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Mewtwo from the Pokemon series. Thematically, Legaluga also fits very well with the lore of the Lugas. While all the other Lugas have some sort of deformity, from Lifaland's huge arms to Shishaland's back spines, Legaluga has none of these. The crystal glow they have, along with the DNA helix that shows up during their attack animation, has made some to believe that Legaluga is the perfect Luga, being able to control everything about its body, including the very DNA that makes them up thanks to the legend crystal's energy that it absorbed going into their first form to their second form. Speaking of said first form, people have said that they really enjoy this design as well, as it makes it very colorful and will immediately strike the player as not their usual Luga. Legaluga is a legend rare many enjoy due to still feeling like a Luga, but is different enough to feel like it deserves the legend rare title. Crash landing here at the 9th spot is Dr. Heaven, having gotten, funny enough, 9 votes in the first round, 67 votes in the second round, and 140 in the third. Dr. Heaven, or Professor Abyss, is the legend rare from the Dark Heroes set. Dr. Heaven, being a part of the Dark Heroes, is able to have a different ability depending on which form you use. In her first form, she insanely resists alien and black enemies, giving her an effective 2.07 million health against said traits, with a base attack of 73,170 with 9.1k DPS at level 50. In her second form, she deals insane damage against aliens and blacks, dealing 439,000 damage against her targets with a rather high 54.8k DPS, while having a base health of 297,000. Her different abilities between her two forms gives her a lot more flexibility compared to most legend rares, as you can use either form depending on if you need good offense or good defense. Her stats also make her a perfect counter to Super Hippo, who's considered one of the hardest bosses in the game, as she can nuke the Takis in 2 hits and nuke Super Hippo in just 6 hits. A design aspect people really enjoy is that her second form is a reference to Bondrewd from Made in Abyss, as both wear a black suit that obscures their faces and both will do whatever it takes to obtain knowledge at any cost. People also enjoy that the legend crystal for her is a fuel source for her powerful rockets. She is also a highlight of the very famous Souptasta's One Slot series, in which she was used to get past NASA Chapter 2 of Into the Future. Wow, it's already been a year and a half since that video, wow, I hope he's doing alright. If you were to ask some people the question of who is the most underrated legend rare, some people would say that Dr. Heaven is the most underrated legend rare, seeing as she has some amazing stats, but due to her targets, tends to get overshadowed by other legend rares, but she is still an amazing unit to use. Headmistress Jian floats here at the number 8 spot, having 23 votes in the first round, 99 in the second, and 159 in the third round. Headmistress Jian is the legend rare from the Galaxy Gals, and one of the first 3 legend rares added to the game, with the other 2 being Musashi and High Lord Babel. Jian is a unit who deals insane LD damage against floating and red enemies. Because of this, many people compared her to EVA Unit 02 and Saber, as both of these units are LD attackers that attack red and floating enemies respectively. In fact, when looking at their DPS at level 50, they are all very similar, with Jian having 36.8k DPS, Code 777 having 34.9k DPS pre-strengthened, and Saber having 35.2k DPS against their targets. Jian has a similar attack pattern to Saber, rapid fire LD attacks with a high base speed, while having the standing range of Code 777. Because of this, she is able to work either as a replacement or alongside these two units for some devastating firepower. Also, because of her targets, if you get her in the early game, it can make it a lot easier as most early game enemies are either red or floating, allowing you to nuke them clean. Her LD can even be used for enemies like Master Ray and the Sloth due to her LD being able to reach them. And that's it? That's all you guys gave me to talk about? Well, I guess if that's the case, I suppose we could start talking about the next. Alright, the reason why there wasn't much to talk about Xian was because there were so many people who wrote about nothing but her big, fat, enormous, voluptuous, humongous, hefty, massive, huge, sublime, heavy-duty fucking titties. I looked at all the responses so I can make my notes and write my script, and out of the 201 people who explained why they like Xian, 38 of the responses were nothing but boobs, tits, jiggle physics, and watermelon emojis. Out of the responses, at least 84 of them were people being down bad for her in my form, and there is probably some that I missed. Also, this is her description for the second form in the Japanese version, and it is not helping. Look, I guess she kinda bad though, but like you don't gotta act like that in my form, and I was kinda hoping to get more reasons than just big titty awooga woman, but what can I do? I also really like this one guy who said Xian was their favorite, explaining how they like her because it was their first legend rare, and predicting that a ton of votes would come from people just being down horrendous for her. His Royal Highness lands here at the 7th spot, Emperor Cat, with 26 votes in the first round, 116 in the second, and 165 in the third round. Emperor Cat is the rarest of the non-collab legend rares, only obtainable from Dynasty Fest, and many people enjoy the fact that he is effectively our version of Neandum. Well, if you don't count Lil Neandum, that is. This means he has a rather high standing range of 551, with 86,400 health and 72,900 damage at level 50. Also, he has a bunch of debuffs with a 30% chance to knock back units and a 30% chance to freeze, slow, and weaken enemies for 4 seconds or 4.8 seconds against treasure traits. This means that if you like using Ebisu, then you're gonna love using Emperor, as Emperor is essentially Ebisu on crack due to having area attack and no LD. This unit's various debuffs and range gives him a role no unit could really replicate, firing off status effects from a safe distance. The crystal crown that he wears is also a design trait people really enjoy, as it really shows his rightful place on the throne. This unit is also a rather lore-heavy unit compared to most units. Emperor Cat found the crystal crown in a mystical forest, allowing him to rule catkind easily. However, as he continued to battle with other kingdoms, his soul became more and more corrupted by the crown's power, eventually turning into evil Emperor Cat, which caused his kingdom to fall into ruin. Mentioning that, he is the obvious inspiration for said boss battle. Did you know that Evil Emperor Cat's background was originally going to look like this, but then got swapped at some point with this background instead? This unit is very divisive on how people would rank the unit objectively, but this video isn't an analysis of how good a unit is, it's a popularity contest, so that question will be for another day. We have made it halfway through the list, but I want to take a slight break from the main legend rares and talk about the collaboration legend rares, Akuma and Black Zeus. Because these are from collaborations, it would be too awkward to put them in the regular ranking, since a few people who have tons of legend rares probably don't have either of these, let alone the average player, so I decided to give them their own separate ranking amongst the two. So, in the left corner, we have Black Zeus from the Bikuramin collaboration, and on the right, we have Akuma from the Street Fighter V collaboration. Black Zeus's first point comes from the fact that they are a great LD attacker against traitless enemies. For Akuma, his iconicism from the Street Fighter series over Black Zeus's iconicism nets him a point. Black Zeus, thanks to his LD, allows him to be an amazing unit for stories of legend, as stages tend to be filled with peon spam. For Akuma, he doesn't have to rely on LD to land an attack, as his standing range is more than enough to get somewhere. However, some people prefer Black Zeus's LD attack over Akuma's lack of LD. Speed is the name of the game for some people, so the fact that Akuma attacks much faster nets him an extra point. Black Zeus comes from a more unique collaboration compared to Akuma, but Akuma's attack animation, in which he uses Go Hadouken to attack his foes, gives him that wow factor that Black Zeus doesn't have. Lastly, people say Black Zeus's design fits more in line with the Battle Cat's general art style than Akuma. However, people enjoy the really goofy unit known as Akuma Line due to the absurd concept of Akuma being some random creature. Oh, and it seems the audience vote has come in. The winner of this Battle of the Collabs is Akuma, scoring 204 votes at 58.3% compared to Black Zeus's 146 votes at 41.7%. This means that Akuma is the more popular of the two collab legend rares. Now I just want to give some thanks to those who also voted for their favorite collab legend rare, as I made this an optional vote, and the fact that most of you still answered it was amazing, so again, I thank you all, but let's get back to the proper list. Coming up in 6th place is Wonder Momoko from the Dynamites. In the first round, she scored 37 votes, in the second round, she scored 49 votes, and in the third round, scored 102 votes. Wonder Momoko's role compared to most legend rares is rather unique. Instead of being a massive damage dealer, she is more of a support unit. At level 50, she has 108,000 health and has a multi-hit that deals 8,100 damage on her first hit, 16,200 on the second hit, and 72,900 damage on the third hit. However, on said first hit, she will freeze red, black, and angel enemies for 2.4 seconds with the level 8 wave, meaning she can delay an enemy's approach by this time up to 1,732 range, meaning no red, black, or angel enemy is safe from her freeze, not even Reynard. While the low damage of her first and second multi-hit isn't the best thing in the world, this is actually somewhat of a blessing for her. This is because most enemies won't be knocked back by the time she lands her third, larger hit of nearly 75,000 damage. Momoko is also a unit most would describe as having a very bubbly personality thanks to her animations. She likes to sway her arms as she walks, to the dances she does while attacking. The popularity of her dance mainly comes from a video titled 1 Hour Video of Momoko Dancing on Gamatoto Music by Silliman Tomcat. This video was on their original channel but was struck by Ponos and re-uploaded to their new channel. As of August 7th, 2023, the video has 49,098 views. If someone is able to find out how many views this video had before the original channel was struck, that would be amazing, but for now, we have this. Wonder Momoko's uniqueness as a legend rare, along with the famous video in the community, is how she makes it to the top 6 of the list. Mighty Crystal Mu, the ancient ritual weapon, comes here at 5th with 46 votes in the first round, 64 votes in the second round, and 176 votes in the third round. This weapon of destruction comes from the Iron Legion set. This unit has one of the most interesting kits out of any anti-zombie unit. Their singular speed has many different roles, the largest being a base defender against zombies. Since zombies will burrow, they'll usually get behind your units. However, since this unit is so slow, they will almost always catch any zombie caught, and no zombies will take so much damage thanks to their insane damage ability. Their base damage is 48,600 damage, which isn't the biggest in the world. However, they deal 291,000 damage against any zombie enemies. Along with dealing insane damage, they are also insanely resistant against zombies, and with an already massive base health of 243,000, they have 1.21 million health against zombie enemies. Some people also use them as a base defender for some gauntlets due to zombies being a massive issue in some of them, along with the fact that they can easily tank tons of hits from most Colossus bosses, giving you a moment to rebuild in case they do push close to the base. Their second form, Doom Engine Pandora's design, is memed upon the community as they are described as a 3D printer due to their rather square shape. The Legend Crystal is also a very fitting artifact that the Iron Legion stumble upon, since the Iron Legion is known for experimenting with many different types of weaponry, and this crystal is no different. In the first form, we see the cats treating the crystal as some sort of god, and they try pleasing it with a sacrifice. The blue flames that are also all over this unit's design is an aspect that many enjoy, as it gives it that ethereal feel to it. Also, the blue flames could be caused by the crystal's raw energy, since blue flames burn hotter than red flames. When they attack, the flames go red, meaning that the crystal's excess energy is no longer fueling the flames, as once it stops reacting, the flames go back to being blue. Back to some more things people like about the unit in the battle sense. Their wave block is also unique amongst the wave blockers due again to their 1 speed, rewarding players who like to use lure strats. Since it has a range of 400, they outrange every single relevant wave and mini-wave user outside of DNL and Wicked Face, in which they share the same range with DNL and are outranged by Wicked Face by 60. They also work extremely well on floor 30 thanks to their high health pool, along with the fact that the usual strategy for this level is to lure Hermit close to the base to make his wave less devastating. Because of this, you can utilize their slow speed to allow other units to work on Hermit that otherwise wouldn't work. The 3D printer has stats and abilities that make them a truly unique unit to help them make them stand out compared to most other legend rares, let alone any other unit in the game, working as a base defender and zombie catcher due to their literal 1 speed. Due to these attributes, many people enjoy this unit, and this is how they ended up in the 5th place. This creator of life and personification of the earth lands here at the 4th spot, having gotten 38 votes in the first round, 65 in the second, and 186 in the third. This is the legend rare from the Almighties. Gaia the Creator is a unit that many people are split on when it comes to how they would rank this unit as a legend rare, as some would rank her the best legend rare in the game, while others think that she is very overhyped. But this isn't an objective ranking, but just a popularity list, so this is a discussion for another day. One of the things that people love about Gaia is her absurd damage output. Gaia has a base health of 108,000 and has a multi-hit that deals 25,110 damage per hit for a total of 75,330 damage. However, since she has insane damage against all traits outside of trait lists, this damage goes up to 125,550 per hit up to 376,650 damage, and against treasure traits, this goes up to 150,660 damage per hit up to 466,800 damage if all 3 hits connect. Her absurd damage isn't lost in her DPS either, as she has 37,000 DPS against Relic and Aku and 45,000 DPS against every other non-traitless enemy. Though she does have some downsides, which many would argue aren't the biggest in the world, but the main one is her inner range of 50. She has a standing range of 400, but her LD is from 350 to 550 range, meaning any push puts her at risk. However, as some people said, this can be avoided by proper meat shielding. Her 2 knockbacks were another thing that people mentioned, meaning she doesn't have many chances to properly reposition. However, these downsides aren't that big of a deal in comparison to the sheer damage output she can deal. Like with all legend rares, her design is also enjoyed by many. The over-the-top design really does give her the legend status, from the extremely long dress she wears, to her ponytail sprouting into the Tree of Life imbued with the legend crystals, to the podium in which her and her throne sit upon, to even the statues of an angel playing an harp in her first form, and a warrior in her second form. If you remember, for the true forms of all the Almighties, there is a tiny winged fairy creature that is added to the design. Well, this fairy creature is Gaia, or at least one of Gaia's many butterfly creatures. The trumpet she blows for each of her attacks also has crystal bubbles that pop out, and each beam has a different color, and each of these colors have been interpreted as rays of the sun, a stream of water, and a soul-reaping beam of death, as not only she can give life, she can also easily take it away. Also, this is where the hopping cat comes from. Gaia is a unit that is very controversial, mainly because of her specific kit, in which people will either rate her as a top tier unit, or a unit who is only okay, but that doesn't change the fact that she ended up here in the 4th spot of the list. Lumina, the legendary bright white and pink creature, shines here at the 3rd spot, getting 47 votes in the first round, 65 in the second, and 124 in the third round. Lumina, or Luminala in her second form, is the legend rare from the Elemental Pixie set. This is a legend rare that dominates her traits due to her sheer tankiness. At level 50, Luminalia has a base 216,000 health, and due to her insane resist, this goes to 1.51 million health. They also have a 100% chance to weaken aliens for 6 seconds, which is way longer than their attack frequency, effectively boosting their health to 3 million health against aliens. Even before treasures, they already have over 100% uptime for their weaken. Their high speed also allows them to quickly rush into the front and start weakening aliens. With nearly 50,000 damage and nearly 11k DPS, they could be a decent rusher generalist paired along with their high health stat. They also break alien barriers, making them a non-issue, and their slow immunity allows them to quickly deal with Queen Bee. Their first form stats are also extremely useful as a cheaper, more spammable version, especially for cache-tight stages. While they only have a 50% chance to weaken and break barriers, this is still usually more than enough, along with the fact that their first form still has 330 range, is faster than Luminalia, and it still has an impressive health stat of 236,000 health against aliens, though this form doesn't work that well as a generalist due to only having 33,000 base health with 3k DPS and only dealing 12.5k damage. Like with all of the Pixies, they bear a strong resemblance to a Pokemon, and the community either agrees that they would be a Psychic type or a Fairy type. Personally, I'm on Team Psychic due to that type's mastery over matter and the fact that this is the type that's most associated with space, since several Pokemon that are described as extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional are Psychic types, from Deoxys to Starmie to Beheeyem to Solgaleo and Lunala. The design for Lumina compared to most legend rares is rather simple, with many saying the first form is cute or adorable, while people saying the second form is cool and beautiful. Also, Luminalia is the cheapest of the evolved legend rares to send out, only costing 3,675 to send out, making it somewhat easier to send out compared to other legend rares. Because of this unit's sheer stats, they can easily tank even Raging Bahamut for long periods of time. If you remembered from the Dr. Heaven section, you will know that she was the reason Suptasta got through NASA Chapter 2. Well, Luminalia has served an even bigger role in that video, being the unit that finally allowed Suptasta to beat Corrupted Valkyrie, as not even Bora was able to beat her, but thanks to Luminalia's pure tanking power, they were able to beat Into the Future Chapter 2. Lumina is a legend rare that people are a huge fan of just because they destroy their specific trait, as their tanking abilities are unmatched when it comes to tanking aliens, making the trait extremely easy to fight, alongside their versatility as they can switch between a spammable, weaker version and an all-powerful form with a longer cooldown. Coming in at number 2 is Kiyosaka Nanaho, who scored 70 points in the first round, 96 in the second round, and 145 in the third. Nanaho comes from the Girls and Monsters set, in which she is the only member of the set to not come from that game, but rather, she comes from another one of Ponus' defunct games, Kyoto Project. Just like Lumina, Nanaho absolutely destroys her main target. Her main target being Metal, due to her having a really high relative crit rate on her second hit, having a 50% chance to land a crit. At level 50, her first hit deals 17,550 damage, and her second hit deals 9,450, but if she crits, her crit will deal 18,900 damage. This will 2-shot 300% Super Metal Hippo and almost 3-shot 300% Sur Metal Seal. Her high crit rate, along with her really high crit damage, means she can delete most metal enemies from the game. Her attack is also an LD attack, spanning from 300 to 750 range, giving her an inner range of 100. She also has a really fast attack rate, meaning she will almost always land a few crits. While her base health of 81,000 is nothing to write home about, she is insanely resistant against metal enemies. This gives her an effective 567,000 health against metal enemies, allowing her to easily tank tons of damage from metal enemies. She also has some pretty good survivability, having 7 knockbacks and their survivability, ensuring she will always be standing behind your meat shields. While most legend rares do have to worry about getting cursed, this isn't much of an issue for Nanaho thanks to critical hits being a neutral ability. Granted, it does shut down her insane resist, making her more vulnerable to metal attacks, but this generally isn't an issue. Her other abilities also have tons of utility. Her Z-kill isn't the best thing in the world, but can be super useful in levels like March to Death in the event she is the one to land the final hit against Dabu. Her Barrier Breaker has a lot more uses thanks to her LD, being able to snipe faraway barriers from enemies like Ribbo and Le Solar. In terms of Nanaho's design, the shrine entrance she flits around being where the Legend Crystal rests helps keep Nanaho's legend rare status, but not interfere with her actual design. The cats that she travels with are also rather unique in the fact that these are some of the only times that we see a cat with actual cat proportions, if you don't mind the 2 tails of course. The colors between the 2 forms are also very vibrant, from the first form's dominant color being red with Nanaho's outfit being blue, to the second form's design taking on a more bluish color like Nanaho's outfit, while her school uniform takes on a much darker blue to help it stand out. People have gone out of their way to call Nanaho the real Metal Buster, since unlike Sakura, who only has a 5% chance to crit, Nanaho's 50% crit rate means that she can more effectively kill metal enemies. Nanaho also still has more health against metal enemies until a Sacred Blade Sakura of the same level gets 6 levels into her health talent. Nanaho is a unit a lot of people enjoy because of the fact she can easily delete most metal enemies from a level, making the most RNG dependent trait a lot more bearable to fight. This factor is the main reason she is so popular and sits here in the second spot of the list. Skipping all the way here up into first place is Ushiwaka Maru, having gotten an astounding 65 votes in the first round, 126 in the second, and a massive 195 votes in the third round. Ushiwaka Maru is the legend rare of the Ultra Soul set. Due to the nature of being an Ultra Soul, this unit is very flexible in terms of what role you need it to do. In their first form, they're an amazing spammable anti-angel attacker, as their base damage of 15,000 allows them to deal nearly 100,000 damage against angels, and their base health of 26,730 allows them to have 133,000 health against angels. The first form also has a base DPS of 4,275, and because of the insane damage ability, this number skyrockets up to 25,000 DPS against angels. This unit is extremely spammable already, and if you bring research combos, you can pop out an overwhelming amount of these guys in an angel stage and the enemies can't do a thing. Their second form is much more massive, having obtained a gigantic mech that has a base health of 202,000, giving Colossal Benkai 1.01 million health against angels, and their base attack of 83.7k allows them to deal 502,000 damage against angels. While the last two legend rares may have destroyed their trait to an amazing degree, Ushiwakamaru and Benkai just delete angels from the game. Benkai makes tough angel enemies like Sleipnir, Winged Piggy, and Saint Dober no more difficult than your average money-collecting enemy like One Horn. This unit's flexibility allows you to either spam a horde of Ushiwakamarus or have one Colossal Benkai smacking enemies from the back. Benkai's great stats allow him to be an amazing option for when you need to have range on enemies like Arost. In terms of what is popular about the design, the first form is a lot more egg-shaped, similar to Kasajizo. The flute that he plays and the crystal veil he wears atop his head also help make this unit stand out. In their second form, Ushiwakamaru finds this insane mech called Benkai, sporting massive arm guards and boots, along with the crystals being a part of Benkai's helmet and chestplate, and this isn't even mentioning the big-ass hammer he has. Compared to other anti-angel attackers, Ushiwakamaru has about twice the DPS of Kasajiso and about half the DPS of an untalented Divine Kalisa. For a unit that is really spammable, this is extremely impressive. Ushiwakamaru is also only the tiniest bit less tanky against angels compared to an untalented Ramen at the same level, as untalented Ramen only has 141,000 health against angels at level 50, though Ushiwakamaru is less durable due to the 2 knockbacks he has. Compared to the Ultra Soul's other anti-angel tanker, Urashima Taro, Ushiwakamaru has 30,000 more health against angels. Ushiwakamaru and Benkai, due to their ability to just delete angel enemies, a trait that some would consider to be one of the hardest traits to fight, along with the sheer versatility this unit brings, puts this unit as the most popular legend rare. So, that was the community ranking of all the legend rares in the Battle Cats. I want to thank everyone who participated in the vote, as well as getting me to 15,000 subscribers. I suppose here's to another 15,000. If you enjoyed watching this community breakdown of how the community feels about every legend rare, then make sure to give this video a like, and if you want me to do these large-scale community posts, then make sure to subscribe to the channel, as I really only do these for subscriber milestones, and I really do enjoy not only reading what everyone thinks of a unit, but also really enjoy putting the community's voice out there. Also, leave a comment down below on what your favorite legend rare is and why they're your favorite. Now to shout out all the channel members who help support me in making my videos and have an exclusive role in my Discord server. The Prodigy Rex, Vertigui, Not Skelly, Carlos Solitaros, Matthew Sumners, Spicy Milk, and Bathu. If you want to receive a shout out like these channel members here, then join today, and as mentioned earlier, you can also get an exclusive role in my Discord server. The link for that is down below in the description. Anyways, I hope you have a fantastic day.